Warning. Viewer listener discretion is advised. The majority of the content of this program is not factual. It is highly advised.
Nice.
It's
For some reason, I'm waiting for it to hit it twice. You know? Used to do that on something else. Hit it twice.
I did, yeah. I'm going to change it just so it does it for you.
I remember you had it was black and white, and then it hit it again, and it turned color.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That was our other intro,
Suds?
though.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, it was. I think it was Suds. Yeah.
Suds. Hi, everybody.
Hey,
What's happening?
How you doing, Jack?
Good. I'm doing good. I went up the stairs twice in the last half an hour, so I'm a little winded.
What'd you forget?
The notebook I didn't need.
No.
Got me a rocket book. This thing's sweet.
Sweet.
You write in it, and then you take pictures with your phone, and it transfers everything into different formats for your phone.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's dope. The only problem is I still write like a second grader, so it has trouble reading it. So sometimes the translations that I get are not any more useful than my handwriting. So normally I'm just reading like, what the hell did I mean by what? Yeah. So anyway, but it's a neat little tool. I'm enjoying learning the technological advancement.
Nice.
Not my thing.
Wow.
Yeah. What's up with you guys?
What's
Embracing the future.
Yes.
Boof.
Who do we got on right now?
I don't know. We need to see.
There's
Let's
some
bring
people
up
on.
those
There's some
comments.
Oh yeah. Let's see who the winner is for the comment race space.
I'm
doing it.
I kind of cheated
Why?
because it was on early.
Oh.
Oh.
So who was first?
Looks
big
like
winner
Wendy.
is Wendy.
Was Wendy.
Everyone knows Wendy works from home. Yeah.
Christine got Aragon Stories. Kathleen.
Cool.
Welcome, everybody,
Hi, hello, and hi.
to The Truth About Beer and
Paranormal talk.
Paranormal Talk.
Yeah.
As we continue our countdown to the Las Cruces Paracon.
Yeah, that's just
A couple weeks
less
away.
than a month away
Yeah.
now.
So excited.
Super cool.
Very excited.
I was going to go, but I can't get a ride.
You got a
You can
ride.
get a ride.
Mhm. With him, with that guy.
Which
With
guy?
the devil dog.
So
I told you you could ride with us.
I know you said I could ride with you.
Well, fine then.
Maybe I don't want to ride with you.
We'll be that way.
I will. I'm not going to be that way. I'm just trying to be indecisive and a pain in the ass. So look at this.
That works.
Yeah, where
Yes.
did you get that beer, Jack?
So yeah, so I do service industry stuff, construction service
I was
industry.
going to say, you might want to
Clarify.
You might want to clarify that.
So yeah, I've been in the construction industry for a long time, and a customer I had the other day gave me these, and had them brewed here, and they were brewed in Mesa at 12 West Brewing, and I thought, well, you know what better way to spend them than drink them here? It's just a beer that they had brewed, and they give it out as a promotion thing for their company. I thought that's kind of cool.
That's really cool.
So yeah, so now I'm gonna order cases of beer to give out to all my customers before I'm done with the job. And go, what do you think? Good work, huh?
Wow. All I can say is if they're going to hand it out as advertisement, it better be good.
I was going to say, you better give it a good review tonight.
Well, that's the interesting thing is I didn't tell him that, hey, I'm not really a beer drinker, but we got a show about it. So
You didn't tell him?
I did tell him.
Oh,
I
okay.
told him about the show part. I didn't tell him that I wasn't really a fan of beer, but he didn't have any hard liquor. So
Well, let's try this.
do you guys maybe have a, I don't know, a name brand tequila?
Well, I'm guessing it's like a wheat beer. Oh, it's a Pilsner.
It's
Okay.
Pilsner.
So it's a 4-pointer. Not too bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
And it's semi not filtered, so it does look like a home brew kind of a thing.
Well, I think they're a pro brewery, but I guess they can do whatever they want there, huh?
It looks good.
So 12 West.
Smells good.
Well, let's do the big taste test.
Oh, cheers, everybody, to whatever
Cheers.
you're drinking out there tonight. We're going to try this fine beer.
I got to get down here.
Definitely take
There we go.
Go.
Hit my knuckles.
It tastes like beer.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more beers than the weird stuff you guys been feeding me.
Right?
Here's dragon's puke from Jesus. I was like, what the? It's got scales and it gives you hair. It's great. All right.
Okay. Yeah, I see now. Yeah. 12th West Brewing Company.
Bam.
It's actually pretty good. It's not bad.
They're in
Yeah.
Mesa. So yeah. And I thought, hey, free beer. Woo.
It's a good little summer beer. Good,
Yeah.
You know, little barbecue beer.
Mm-hmm.
Not
I
bad.
wish I had an inner tube.
Is that what them beer makes you think of?
For some reason, yeah. I want to be an inner tube and a kiddie pool. At my house, of course. Because anywhere else would be weird. So on the job site, just chilling with a beer, having a
So roofing solutions.
they do roofing. Bam.
Couldn't tell.
They don't just sit around and drink beer all day, and they actually do work on people's roofs.
No, they just come up with solutions, but they do it in the dog voices. So they're going roof, 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 roof. Solving the world's problems one bark at a time.
I'd like to know a little bit more about the brewery, though. That'd be interesting.
Well, they are local, so I don't know what else they brew, but they the promotional thing was just sort of a favor for a friend. It's not what they do.
Right.
So I'm sure you could find 12 West on the web.
Yeah, we'll have to look them up and maybe do some other beers from them.
Absolutely.
See what they do.
No, about
Not bad.
idea.
Good job, Jack.
Mhm.
Well, you're very welcome.
Thanks.
I worked very hard at it.
And it's free beer, and so free beer is always,
In all the years I've been
Plus.
doing doors, and I've had people give me alcohol for free. This is the first time I've ever used any of it. Because it's always usually it's just stuff that they have sitting in their garage.
Right.
For the last 6 years, they're never going to get rid of it. They're like, hey, do you like beer? And know anybody who does, get this crap out of our way. It's like, okay, so
I'll take
I'm
it.
like, I'll take it home. That's a good idea. We don't even drink beer. Yeah. So, yeah, it's good to put it to use finally.
Cool. Good
Moving
job.
along.
Good job.
What do we got today?
So I want to throw something out there for everybody. We got
Oh,
some
yeah.
Truth About Beer koozies, orange, perfect for Halloween coming up.
Can you have one?
So you can have one.
Cool.
There's a whole pack behind you there. You can have one for sure.
They're different
you should
colors.
have grabbed the green one,
No,
so
you
they
should.
would have. That would just see the
Just
truth
see
about
you.
beer floating around,
Here's a little
floating
green
around,
What kind of beer is this?
like my flask.
So
Ooh.
what we want to do is we actually want to give one of these away to our audience. So what we're going to do is each week we're going to come up with an episode trivia question, and you have to answer within this episode though. So, hopefully you've done your homework and watched our past episodes. And I think we should set a time limit on it too, because
What are we doing?
they can skip out on our show and
Right.
go back and review.
Most people probably wouldn't have thought of that, but now you've given me the idea.
So we need the answer right now.
till
What's
7
the-
o'clock. How
what's
about
the
7
question?
o'clock? We'll give it till 7 o'clock.
What's the question?
That's right. I guess you need a question.
Does that
first.
work?
Give me a question.
7 o'clock
7 o'clock. So somebody needs to post the answer
in the feed.
in the feed by
Okay.
7 o'clock, and you get a Truth About Beer koozie, color of your choice, whatever we have available. But orange
color
is
of your
good. Orange is
choice.
good for.
For TV.
We have a lot of different colors back there.
Color of
Yeah,
your
we-
choice as long as it's this one.
So we'll give you some options. So the question is,
Yeah.
Joey and my favorite beer is the Atomic Pumpkin, and
Mhm.
we want to know what is the first episode where we featured Atomic Pumpkin. And go.
You know how
And go.
What?
and if you guess it before 7, then you're doing better than what Keith and I did earlier today.
Stop it. Don't say that.
So I see a message here from Argon Stories. It says, hey, Jack, don't forget you're on with me the last day of Parapalooza. I said,
Yeah, don't forget that.
I won't forget it. I didn't even know.
Yes, you
I
did.
forget.
You do.
Do I? Who is that?
It's my dad.
Oh, that's right.
You guys are doing reincarnation, remember?
Yes, I do now. I didn't know that was your dad. That was Argon Stories. I'm sorry.
Yes.
So they're like,
Well, you learn something every
who is
week.
this dude?
Every
Why is he
time-
telling me I'm going to do
Every time
something?
we learn something new.
That's smart. I won't forget.
So
No.
that is the trivia question. What episode did we first feature Atomic Pumpkin?
Atomic Pumpkin.
Yeah, countdown starts now. You got
Oh,
20 minutes.
or so. Give or take.
We'll see.
Really,
see
if
who knows
anybody
it.
answers it tonight, that'll count too.
We'll see. We'll see what happens when we get to 7 o'clock. But anyway,
All right, moving along.
so moving along
What's
tonight,
next?
we have a very special guest.
We sure do.
Are you praying? What do you do? No, I look over and you're like this.
I'm fiddling my fingers.
Right. Anywho,
So
Yes.
continuing our countdown to the Las Cruces Paracon. Maybe you should talk and not me.
I don't do any better.
so in New Mexico, they're going to have this Paracon deal. And so
Paracon
he's
thing.
one of our presenters there.
Yes, you will be a speaker.
Wonderful.
Yes, and it is the founder of Paranormal Research Investigation,
Ooh.
PRI, in El Paso,
Oh, wow.
Texas. And let's, without further ado, bring on Mr. Ramiro Galvan. There he is. So,
Oh, he's on mute.
Hey, you know what I'm going to do?
He's on mute.
oh, you're going to unmute him. That's a good
I'm
idea.
going to try.
No, he had to unmute himself.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
There he is.
Well, good evening.
I did it to myself. What can I say?
I do it all the time.
Well, I'm not. This is a PG rated audience, right?
No,
No, it's definitely not.
Okay. All right.
not,
You're
not
good.
since they brought me on.
You're you're free to say whatever you want to say.
All right. Great. Let me just check, make sure my wife's not around here.
Right.
Oh.
So thanks so much for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it.
Well, great. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad you guys are doing this run up into the Las Cruces Paracon. That's really great to see that.
Yeah, we're really excited about this event. We're going to be there, of course. So it's going to be a lot of fun and really get a chance to meet all you know, all the presenters and everything. So that's going to be really fun.
Great. I'm really looking forward to it, especially the fact that this is the first ever type of event like this in this area. So I'm looking forward to a lot of people. A lot of people are really excited about attending something like this, especially with some of the history of the Southwest that hasn't been really brought to light.
Yeah. So you said El Paso?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
We've been there.
I was going to say that rings a bell.
I've heard of it.
Passing through or just actually stopping?
Well, we did we investigated the DeSoto.
Oh, okay.
So, and
Yeah, what did you think of that
Concordia.
place?
It was scary.
It was
I mean,
hot.
for other reasons.
And humid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It wasn't the ghost that scared us on that one. It was the people.
Oh.
Yeah, the residents that
Yeah.
are
Oh.
living there.
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, I mean, they're nice folks once you get to know them, but you got to spend time with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were obviously out of towners, so
Doesn't help that you're jerks either.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
What about Concordia Cemetery? What did you think about that?
That was awesome.
that's a fascinating place.
That was
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah.
Well, actually, yeah, that's a big place. Not many people realize it, but back in the 60s, when I was growing up as a kid near that area, what is considered the North-South Freeway there, and then where Interstate 10 is that actually intersects part of the old cemetery. It actually used to extend further out.
Oh, wow.
So the stories of the shadows and headless people seen in that area and whatnot has, as far back as the early 60s, like I said, when I was growing up nearby, it's always been around. So it's not something new there. And as a kid, I remember we used to have to go to this recreation center across from what was I-10 at the time, but they were building that part, what is called the Spaghetti Bowl. And back in the old days, before they started doing that, you could take a street all the way down to it and you'd be okay. But once they started construction there, you started having to go, I'm sorry, not I-10, North-South Freeway. So you'd have to actually detour through Concordia Cemetery to get to the recreation center. And even though there was a much longer way to go without having to go through the cemetery, many people actually went through there. And even then, I remember, the stories of people seeing unexplained things in that area, having these encounters. Even some people back then in the 60s that even reported seeing the remnants of what they considered rituals.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, Concordia holds a special place for me because that's where I brought home an attachment one time.
Oh, I guess Jack,
What?
hit the button.
Which button? Oh,
There you go. 'Cause we need to hear that story.
Yeah. One of the things I always train my team. See, I hold paranormal classes, or I conduct paranormal classes, and the reason being is because as more and more people get interested in this field, a lot of people realize what they're getting into. And one of the things I share during my class is that when you go to do an investigation, you don't want to be compromised,
Right.
whether it's emotional or a physical sense. And in my particular case, I went to do an investigation there. It was the middle of November. It was freezing cold, and I went with a flu.
Oh boy.
So, it was like I just had vacancies left and right here,
Mhm.
So about 2 weeks afterwards, I started noticing some odd things in my house. Like, we used to have a kids' room downstairs. It was a kids' toy room, playroom. And I would walk in there and I would start getting these feelings of, these chills in there and this sense of somebody was in the corner staring at me, but I could never see anybody there. And so I just blew it off as my overactive imagination.
Right.
And we used to have a lady come in to clean once a week. And a couple of weeks after, went by. And of course, I hadn't mentioned this to anybody because I'm thinking, okay, it's my imagination. And then one day I was home and I was reviewing some video from an investigation. And this lady came over and asked me, was I into film or movies? Did I do that kind of stuff? And I told her no. She didn't know what I did up until that point. Okay. Even though she had been coming to work for us for several years, she didn't know what I did until I told her. And once I told her, I mean, this immense, I guess I could describe it as a wave of relief just went over her. She went like, "Oh, Mr. Galvan, I am so glad you told me, because these are the things I'm feeling right here in your house." Turns out that one of the things she was feeling was going into the kids' playroom, and she would feel that same sensation I was feeling.
Right.
And then she said that some points, and there were some times broad daylight that we have a 2-story house. When she was at the foot of the stairs, she would turn and she would see what looked like a male standing at the top of the stairs staring at her. And then when she turned around, it was gone.
Oh wow.
So, I just kind of, okay, well, great. I appreciate it. And again, not wanting to escalate this until about a week after that, then my then youngest son, he was all of 4 years old at the time, came running into the dining room where my wife and I were at. He's yelling and he's terrified. He said his grandfather's coming to get him. His grandfather's coming to get him, going to take him away. We're like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, Grandpa, take me. Take me. And I'm like, "What? This is odd. Okay, what does your grandpa look like? Where is he?" And he said, "Grandpa, green eyes." Well, the grandpa he's referring to is on my wife's side of the house, and he does have green eyes. However, he had passed years before my son was born.
Oh wow.
So he never met him. So at that point, that's when I took steps to start cleansing the house, to get rid of or make whatever was here move on to where it needed to be. It took a couple of weeks, but eventually one evening, my wife and I sitting there, it's a nice, cool evening. We have the back door open to the dining room, and there's a metal screen there, or screen door. And as we're talking, all of a sudden, you just felt something cold just rush right between us. And I felt it go out the door. And mind you, up until that point, my wife had not known it. Even after what my son said, I hadn't told her about the previous experience.
Right.
At that point, she jumped up and went, "Did you feel that? Did you feel something cold just went right through us?" And then after that, we had no more problems.
Huh.
Wow.
It's interesting.
Do you have a pardon me, do you have a background in Reiki?
No. Actually, my wife does, believe it or not. She is the one, I think between both of us, I think she's the more sensitive one.
Okay.
And she's actually taken Reiki classes where some of her sisters have asked her, "Oh, can you do a Reiki with me just to show me the preliminaries?" And they always feel like, they said that wherever she's waving her hands around, or wherever she's placing her hands, that they feel this warmth just radiating from her hands.
Interesting. Cool.
So yeah, I don't do Reiki, so.
Okay.
Interesting question, Jack.
Yeah, I don't know. Just remind me of
I've heard that
family
that
member.
word a lot here in the last couple of weeks
Yeah.
Really
about Reiki. Yeah.
interesting.
And there's a course on Udemy.
Udemy?
Udemy or whatever that.
I'm not familiar with that.
They offer all kinds of classes on stuff.
Oh,
That was
wow.
part of their shamanism course, had Reiki courses. Shamanism. Yeah. Anyway,
Sorry about that. I was just
So-
on
no.
my mind.
Well, no,
So
it's
is-
all right, because I'm glad you brought that up, because I don't mean to interrupt you here, but
No, you're good.
it just reminded me when I do those classes back before the pandemic, I was doing face-to-face classes, 8-hour class on becoming a paranormal, beginning paranormal investigator. And one of the things we would teach people, we would talk about was, what I learned from a person who was gifted was energy, right? That
Right.
everybody has energy, they radiate energy, however you want to define that. But one of the things in my class I do is I ask for 2 volunteers, and then I blindfold them. And I have them stand apart from each other, probably about 2 feet apart, more 2.5 feet apart, 3 feet apart, somewhere around there, depending on, the person. And then what I do is I ask them to go through a 10-second breathing exercise. And then I ask them to bring their hands up and then slowly move them forward to each other and then stop when they feel something. And about 95% of the examples, that we do in the class, 95% of the people have done this, have actually said they stopped way before even touching the other person's hand.
Wow.
And they always would say they feel like something here tingling, a warmth, some sort of sensation here in the palm of their hands. I actually had one person say they stopped because they said they couldn't push back, like there was a barrier there. They could not push beyond that.
Interesting.
That's cool.
wow.
Sorry, but I digress there.
No, that's really
No.
cool. That's very
They just
cool.
don't know what to do with it. They're going like, so I'm going to make it force fields? Why
No,
do I
I-
shoot the fireballs?
All right, who's playing Chewbacca this time?
Right. I honestly think I think that's a great thing that you do. You teach classes on becoming a paranormal investigator. I think that's freaking awesome. I don't know anybody else that really does that.
Yeah. I mean, is there certain locations that you
Well,
pretty much
since-
use for that?
Well, since we're a nonprofit organization and we don't charge for any of our services, we do this for a couple of reasons. Number one is just raise level of awareness of the paranormal field, because when people say paranormal, what's the first thing they think of, right? Ghostbusters.
Right.
And we're like, no, we're not that. So what we try to do is we try to raise the level of awareness and say, you know what, there are things out there that we have yet to fully explain, and so by doing what we're doing is we're teaching you some of the things out there. But this is like an entry level course. We're just barely touching the surface. We explain things like what's the purpose of investigating? What do you, if you want to do it, if you want to put together a team, what should you have, like a mission statement? What is your purpose? Then we go into things like EMF devices, and the pros and cons of them. And I explain to them, I actually show them the more technical aspects of the sine waves and the radio waves and EM waves that go. And, and I kind of let them know, okay, the reason you see people with K2s going around in an S shape is because that's the optimum pattern, because of the way the waves, the sine, the EMF waves travel. Then we talk about, the type of devices that are out there, things that to know your equipment and so forth and so on. And then we touch a little bit about the metaphysicals to make people understand, there are truly things out there that if you're not careful, you have to, you can't come after you. And one of the things that I bring out in this 8-hour class is I ask people flat out, what is your deepest fear? You don't have to tell me what it is, but just picture in your mind, what is your deepest fear? And the reason I ask them that is because if you can address that directly head on, I said, you don't have to get over it. You don't have to overcome it. But if you can address it, then you can deal with what's going on in the paranormal world. That allows you to take the next step, is what I tell people, is to become emotionally detached when you do an investigation. Because when you go in there and you start and you're not mentally prepared or emotionally prepared, your whatever you want to call it, energies, your karma, your yin yang, your ping pong, I mean, it's going all over the place, So whatever is there may decide to latch onto that, because the analogy I give them is picture a dark room and all of a sudden you see a single light out there. naturally you're going to go toward that light because that signifies safety. Well, it's a similar principle here and during an investigation. If your emotions are running all over the place, you're lighting up, you're like a little neon light here, and so you're attracting everything that's out there, both good and bad.
So what I hear is ruminate on your greatest fears and then walk blindly through a graveyard. Is that what I
heard? Blindfolded.
Yes. Okay, cool.
So basically, so if you can focus on your fears and learn to address them and understand what your fears are, then that gives you the step up to be able to walk into an investigation and be able to walk out of it, hopefully unscathed.
I think that goes hand in hand with the wall being up.
Well, I was gonna say what you thought about Lunar Eclipse's comment there, that when you talked about they get close and they stop before touching each other. They said that means that the other person has a wall up. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, one of the things is that I am not sensitive at all. Okay. I'm not gifted. I don't have any of those abilities. And when I first started doing this in this field, I ran into people who said they were, and after a while, I just kind of got really cynical about people like that, because they were throwing things out that were just generalized.
Right.
Oh, I hear a voice. Okay, great. What does that mean? That type of thing, or, there was somebody here in the past. All right. Well, again, what does that mean? So I was pretty cynical at that point until I met this one lady, and she was introduced to me through a mutual friend at the time, and we were going to go investigate this one location. It was a golf course and had been open for less than 5 years, but some of the staff had reported things like, actually watching plates levitate off the kitchen counters. So we went in there, and of course she's there and she's given us what she's picking up on. And after the end of the investigation, two other investigators were with me at the time. I was like, well, what do you think? They were like, yeah, they kind of cliche-ish, I mean, she was saying stuff that, anybody could say. But it wasn't until I went back and I reviewed the video. And when I reviewed the video, I mean, I was literally knocked off my chair, because she said things that we were able to document and corroborated her statements. Wow. One example was, we were in the kitchen. This is after midnight. The place is closed. There's no children with us. And she's telling one of the investigators, there's a little girl there who likes you. She's standing right next to you, but she's humming. She's going something like, ha, 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 ha. Of course, we don't hear anything. So mind you, we're like, yeah, whatever. When I went back and reviewed the video, you can hear on the audio track on there, and when she says that, you can hear the little girl's voice going, kind of like humming a tune. In the women's bathroom, we were getting some hits on our EMF devices, and all of a sudden I turned and looked at her, and she's shaking up, like she's freezing, and she goes, there's something here. I don't, she's like, but this is how I react. She says, this is how they affect me. I said, okay. This is, close toward Christmas, when we went to investigate. It was in December. So they're playing Christmas music in the PA system, and you can hear it in the background. But however, once she said that about how she was affected, all of a sudden you hear what sounds like a woman scream in the background. But again, we didn't hear that. But it's all on camera. It was all recorded by the camera. So, I mean, like I said, it was just absolutely amazing, the fact that she came up with these things and we were able to corroborate. And since then, I investigated with her for 5 years. She moved away to another state to pursue a different career. But during that 5 years, she did things that just literally scared the hell out of me. I don't know how she did it. I don't know where she got this ability from, but when you're doing an investigation, you're 600 miles away from her. She's never been there. She's never been told about this place. She doesn't even know where we're at. And you call her on the phone, and she's doing what she calls a remote read. And she's telling you what rooms to go to. And the building owner's telling you. She'll tell you something on the phone. And in this one particular case, I'll give you an instance. Again, we have this all on camera. We're in this one building, it's a really old building, and she's telling one of the investigators who's holding the phone. She goes, "Walk into this room right there in front of you. Just walk in there." She didn't know, but it was a sunroom back then because it used to be an old hospital there. So he walks in there and he says, "Okay, I'm in the room. What do you want me to do?" She goes, "Go to the furthest corner of the room, the furthest left corner of the room." So he says, "Okay, I'm here." She goes, "Is that as far as you can go?" He says, "Yes, that's as far as I can go." And he's standing in the corner with his back, and there's windows on either side of him. And she said, "Yeah, that's where she stands. That's where the woman, the nurse, stands." Mind you, she's 600 miles away telling us this.
Right.
And I'm like, where the hell did this nurse come from? Talk about a woman. Right at that moment, the building owner or manager next to me said something. So I turned my camera, I panned my camera to him. And I said, "What did you say?" He goes, "That's where people see her." "See who?" He says, "There's a road by next to the building." He says, "People drive down that road and they have seen a woman standing right where he's standing at right there." But I didn't tell you guys that because I didn't believe it myself.
Right.
Yeah. What are the odds?
That's crazy.
You have this on camera?
Yeah, I have it all on video.
Oh, we got to hang out.
Yeah. So
VHS and chill.
Yeah. One of the things is that when we go to do the investigations, I love to set up cameras. I try to cover as many angles as possible. And the reason is, and again, I'm kind of digressing here, is because if you hear something on one camera, then you can cross-reference other cameras, as well.
Yeah.
And then that way, what sounds like a voice on one camera can actually be a car in the background on another camera. And you'll have a third camera that probably will cooperate that as well. So it's really great when I can do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's
No,
I think
I like that.
It's-
I like that idea. Somebody I know had an idea about that and about crowdsourcing the research on it, because getting through all of that information, all that data, is really tough to try to go through it all, find
Yeah.
a point to even look at, and then go through and check it on multiple cameras and multiple devices. So
Well,
that's
there's
a real tough part.
Yeah, there's a formula that I think I can't remember what the formula was, but it was a formula that I came across years ago. And it just kind of calculated how many hours per camera and how many hours would be spent reviewing. So typically we deploy 10 cameras with audio and video, infrared capability. And if our investigation, even a short investigation, say 4 hours. So you figure you got 4 hours, 40 hours of video right there.
Right.
That you got to go through and cross-reference and
Yeah.
double check and triple check.
Yeah.
Okay. But now when you're doing one of these type of investigations where you go in for 4 hours and then you walk away, but you still leave the cameras running, now you're talking 16, 24 hours of video times 4 cameras. So that gives you an idea how much time is spent.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time, and if you're not doing it as the only thing you do, it's a bit of a wall in finding things. So because I know that I'm one of those people that's always like, well, let's see, want to see proof. You want to see the video and hear the audio and all these things, and it's like those instances are so incredibly rare to begin with, and then to actually find them in this haystack. I've heard one EVP that was unbelievable to me, and I was there when it got recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Listened to it just moments later, and no explanation for it. It's the clearest thing I've ever heard on an audio recording, and it's awesome because I know it was real,
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't have to search for it either.
Yeah.
We had to watch days worth of video.
All right, you ready to have your mind blown, Jack?
No,
Because
do it anyway.
that EVP he's talking about was caught at the Doña Ana County Courthouse and Jail. And I'm going to show a video here to you here in a second. That's one of Ramiro's. So if you're Ghost Adventure fans, you may have seen Ramiro on one of the episodes of Ghost Adventures where they investigated the Doña Ana County Courthouse and Jail. And there was something that he caught, I believe it was in that same investigation where your counterpart got scratched, was something that happened with one of the doors in the jail. And Jack will know this part, so I'm gonna
Do it.
I'm gonna see if I can
You better be able to.
get it.
trying to switch.
Here, I'll take it from right here. So catch it?
No,
You didn't.
no,
You weren't watching the cell door.
no.
Let me run it back just a little bit.
Damn
Watch
it.
the cell door.
Okay.
Don't watch the guy in shorts.
Wow.
You guys couldn't even see that, could you? Like when you
No,
were
they
there.
were in the dark, but
Yeah,
they had all
sorry.
those cameras set up, so they
What
caught
the
it.
fuck?
Well, there's a little backstory to that. When we were going down there, there's 6 of us that were going down into the main floor, and as we had just turned into that hallway, that little hallway right there that separates the cells, and there's a crank out there. I don't know if you ever saw that or had a chance to manipulate that crank, but it makes a real loud noise because there was no electricity back then, except for
Right.
one room in the entire building. So if somebody had turned the crank manually, you would have heard it. Number one. Number two, the big guy that was you see in that picture, he at that time was a Doña Ana corrections officer. So he said that they always it's common practice for them to ensure that the cell doors are open and never lock it behind them without ensuring they have an exit strategy. So he says, I would have noticed it right off the bat. And afterwards, when we realized that the door was partially closed, he walked up to the door and he couldn't fit through that door. That's how much it closed. But as we were walking to there, all of a sudden, the base where we had set up in the second floor courtroom, one of the guys up there called us on radio and said, we just lost video on camera. I think it was 7 at the time, one of the cameras. So we said, okay, which one is it? He goes, well, I don't know. He says, we just lost video. So I split off with, at that time, what was called the caretaker, the guy who was maintaining the building at the time. And we both took off down the main hallway while everybody else proceeded into that cell area. I'm sorry, there was 5. I said 6, but I think there was 5 of us. And so we backtracked the cable and we actually found the cable disconnected. And it was the cable facing down the main hallway. So on the video clip, you see us going down the hall, you see us turning in, and then boom, the camera goes, lose signal. And what made this more unusual was the cameras were at that, they have those, what they call those BNC connectors, the ones they call them
Yeah, you
twist
twist
and
and
lock.
click them. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't pull them apart once they're secure there.
They're a pain in
And-
the ass to take apart on purpose.
Oh yeah. So if somebody was to trip and pull the cable off, they would have knocked over the whole camera.
Yeah.
Well, there was no movement on the camera what we could see before we lost signal. Number two, those 2 cables were at least 2 feet apart from each other.
Oh, wow.
So after all this time, the only hypothesis I can come up with is that somebody there deliberately wanted to split us up. Because if you're closing a cell door behind people, and back then there was no other, they had another cell door, but it was welded shut at the time. So that was the only way in and out of that cell room. Mind you, this was back in 2011. So that was the only way in and out of there. So if you wanted to lock somebody in there and not warn them, since we were the last 2 walking in, we were, that's when we went back and checked. So I think whatever was there did it on purpose to split us up.
That was a great piece of evidence. Huh?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, just knowing that you have to crank those doors open. I mean, every time we've been there, that one's been closed, I think. Because isn't that the like the lunchroom area?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
whatever,
Mhm.
the galley or whatever they call it at a prison.
Yeah, what they would call their mess
Yeah,
hall,
mess hall,
cafeteria.
Yeah.
But
So-
they've removed that mechanism. Wasn't it sitting in the middle of the hallway, the mechanism for closing the gates?
No, as far as I know, it's still there because
What's that big mechanism that's like a
Yeah,
lock
there was-
system?
that was going into
It's disconnected.
like the shower.
Was it in the cells
Area,
or
I
something?
think.
Oh yeah. No, they did remove it because we held a training session with my team there in June of this year, and so they had removed a lot. That the one doorway that was welded shut back then has been removed now. So now you
So
can
that's
go
what
in
that big thing
either
is
way.
that's sitting there. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But they used to have panels there too where you could open up and manually close doors with levers, but that was further down the hallway, the main hall.
I didn't get to see that.
But even so, even if the mechanism was disconnected, those doors are not light. I mean,
No.
you know what I mean? They're not that easy to
No, it
open
wasn't
and
wasn't even
close.
so much question of that. It was just
Mm-mm.
it's just that's not okay.
Yeah, and it closed in a fluid way.
Right.
You know, it wasn't like a jerky kind of
Right.
a motion. It just kind of went.
Well, and I don't know if you noticed on that clip, but the guy sitting at the very last bench nearest the door, he's a very laid back guy. And when I asked him after I saw this on the video, I asked him, didn't you hear something? Because you turned like you heard something.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah. He says, I thought I heard something. That's why I turned. But he says, I couldn't see what it was. Yeah. He thought he heard something. That's how quiet that door closed. Now, that's what, I mean, just blew my mind.
Yeah. And I think, anybody who does investigations realizes, but I think the general public doesn't realize that those IR lights, when it's dark in a place, it's dark. You can't see anything.
Right.
It's just, we always try to demonstrate that just so people can see, we're truly in the dark here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's crazy.
One thing I tell people is when you walk in there, mind you, now they have emergency exit lights there, and they have lighting in some rooms. But back in 2011, that was the first ever investigation of that location. So all utilities have been turned off and all had been not turned off, disconnected in the first floor, third floor, and all the rooms on the second, with the exception of the one in the main courtroom. So when you went down in the main hallway area of the jail area, I mean, it's like you walked into a cave. It was pitch dark, couldn't even see your hand in front of your face. And I remember one of the investigators on the other team, I have an audio recorder, and you can hear him. I had set it up near the main entrance to the jail area, and you can hear him on the audio recorder saying, "Hey guys, don't leave me here. Don't leave me alone here." And of course, they walked away, not realizing that. And then shortly afterward, you hear him on recorder said, "Janet, Tony, I told you not to fucking leave me here alone." So even to truly experienced paranormal investigators, this place can really shake you to your core if you're not prepared.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, and Wendy made a comment earlier. I don't know if you caught that, but she was thinking, because when we went and we got the doors that slammed, she thought maybe it was that door that slammed since it.
No, that was that didn't make the
know.
noise that you guys got.
No.
We
were on the third floor, and we got like 3 slams in a row.
Yeah.
And one of them actually sounded like the door slammed and then swung back open because you heard a creak after it slammed, and
it was so loud it literally shook the building, scared the hell out of it. There was 6 of us up there. It scared the hell out of all of us.
Yeah, that's good. The thing about that building, there is so many stories, so many things that have happened here, and there's a dark history there that's involved with that building as well that many people may not be aware of when they first go in there. So it behooves a person to do a lot of research on a location, which is, again, one of the things, going back to what we were discussing earlier, one of the things I discussed during the classes is that you research like that movie, The Martian, with what's the guy's name? The guy got stranded on Mars, and he says at the end of the movie,
Ben Affleck, or no, it was Matt Damon.
Matt Damon, thank you.
Yeah.
And he says at the end of the movie, you science the shit out of it. Well, same thing on the paranormal field. You research the shit out of it because you don't know what you're going to run into. Yeah. And, the woman's scream, you heard about that one, right?
I haven't.
No?
From Donna Anna.
At Donna Anna?
Mm-hmm.
Not familiar.
Yeah, when we went in to do our daylight survey, when you walk down the hall, I was carrying a full spectrum camera at the time, and it's broad daylight, but in there it's still dark as hell. And so, unknown to me at the time, and it wasn't until we went back and reviewed it, but there's something dark that is seen like popping out of a doorway, and then as I'm moving the camera from right to left, you see this dark, whatever it is, it's a mass in the doorway. And then when I pop back this way, it's gone. So we went down that hallway, again, we're surveying the place, and they have the first door on your right, it's labeled, I think now they have it labeled as communications room. But anyway, I walked down that hallway. This is before they did all the labeling, and whatnot. So when I walked down that hallway, it led into a dead end. It was another cell door that was locked. But as we turn the corner in that hallway, unknown to us, there's a scream that's heard as I'm talking. It's a scream is recorded. But again, we didn't hear that.
Right.
And in 2016, I think it was, it's 2017, I went back for a little training session with some of my investigators. And we're in another cell area, what they used to call the women's general population area. And then they had some other cells in the hallway there. And as we're standing in the cells, and one of the investigators is standing in the hallway, we all hear a woman scream as well. And I mean, one of my investigators who was there, when he heard it, I mean, that was his first time encountering something like that. He's going, "Oh, come on, man. Like, really? Come on." It's not what I expected here. So it turns out that when you looked into the history of that place, back in the 50s, there was a young waitress named Mary Waters who was found, local police found her, they claim was intoxicated. So they brought her in and they put her in a cell. Now, if you go back and look at the newspaper reports, you'll find that her cause of death was changed multiple times. However, I had found some documentation of one of the back then one of the local corrections officers there who wrote to his city councilman. I guess he was trying to cover his butt. But anyway, he wrote that the night that they brought her in, he was on duty. They put her in the cell, walked away, and a couple of minutes later, they heard her give this horrifying, blood-curdling scream. And when they ran back in there, they found her dead. But she had this look on her face. He says that was like she had been scared to death.
I did hear that story.
Yeah.
I think Vicky told us that story.
Yeah, and it's on that Ghost Adventures episode too.
Right. And so what happens is that every so often, if you're on the first floor, and you'll hear her scream, like she's reliving that particular moment.
Mm-hmm.
Is that clip on your YouTube?
Well, I'm trying to think. I want to say yes, it is. So. I'd have to go back and look again to be sure, but I believe I did post it on there.
Well, Captain Search, you can find it there.
Well, there's a few.
Yeah. Well, there's when you're retired, it's either wash dishes, iron clothes, or do this.
That's cool, man.
Well, is that the scream like a death scream video?
Could be. I have to go back and look because I think I got like over 40 videos posted.
Yeah, there's a few on here.
What's your favorite piece that you've ever found or recorded?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I would have to say would be the one when I was called in by the U.S. Marshal Service, the federal U.S. Marshals. Okay. And this was done under the table at the time. I can talk about this now because it's been quite a few years. Okay. But back then I was called in, and it was done. It was basically things were going on at this location. Now we're talking fully grown men that are armed, and they deal with the worst of the worst. Right. Yet they had things going on in this building that they terrified some of them. Matter of fact, it got to the point where two of them who were devout Catholics went into the basement because they said things were happening there. They went down to the basement with rosaries, Bible, holy water, and they said they started saying the rosary, and then all of a sudden they said the lights started flickering on and off, doors started slamming down in the basement. He said after a couple of minutes, they left. They said they couldn't take it anymore. So the one where there's a recording there where we're walking through the main courtroom in this building, and there's a couple of marshals with me, plus a couple of the employees who worked it because they were curious to see what was going on. And one of the marshals, so I remember him before the investigation began, he goes, "You know what?" He says, "I'm a Iraq war vet, man. I've seen some things. I've seen the nasty things that humans can do to each other." He says, "I don't believe in any of this shit." Fine, not here to convince you. I'm here to investigate and see whether your stories are true or we can find something else going on. So anyway, as we're walking through this courtroom, I'm walking in first, and it's like a bad movie. The minority always goes first,
Send the brown guy.
Yeah, send him. He doesn't know anything. So I walked in, and I get to the far end of the courtroom, and the other marshal, he's bringing up the rear, and I stopped everybody and I shushed everybody, and I'm like, okay, I thought I heard something. Then I said, well, you know what? I'm going to rationalize this. Maybe it was just the echoes as we're walking in, because it's a cavernous room. So I said, it's just the echoes, I'm sure. So we continued on. It wasn't until I went back and reviewed the cameras, and he was carrying an audio recorder, and I was carrying a camera. And on the camera that I'm carrying, you hear something in the background, almost like a very light whisper, right? I blew it off thinking it was somebody with a group. Right. However, when I went back to listen to his audio recorder, just before you hear me, I'm sorry, right after you hear me say, shh, I thought I heard something. No, I'm sorry, before that, I didn't take that. Just before I say, shh, I thought I heard something, you hear this voice that comes through. And I'm going to try and see if I can duplicate it as best as possible, okay? But it sounds like it said, just this guttural growl. Wow. And I guarantee you, if I had heard that, I'd be the first one out that door. But that place, after the night was over, and we had so many encounters there, that that's the first and only time I've ever had to use holy water after an investigation. Wow. Because of things that transpired during the time we were in there.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So, do you guys see this over here?
Well, yeah, I dropped the link to his, but it's not coming through, so I don't know why.
Can you just drop it in the comments?
That's right. I put it right here. Huh. But I see everything around it.
That's interesting.
Am I supposed to have one of those?
Well, you're part of ours.
Oh, good, because I'm like, what?
If Lunar's watching us right now, she's got Jack's.
Neato. Oh yeah.
This is where we find Jack.
That's correct. Dude, that's how long have you been doing this?
Me or somebody else?
Yeah, I'm not.
Me. I want to say I started back in 2000. Wow. So yeah, it's it started off with the old basic stuff. Compass, an audio recorder, and then slowly but surely started moving into other things.
And it seems you have some awareness or some idea. You understand how the technology works. You were talking about.
Yeah, I'm a retired AT&T telecom engineer. So for the last 30 plus years, I was working in the IT field and networking field. Everything from learning how Windows operates all the way to installing networks.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So you can explain to me how some of this stuff works then.
Yeah, it's what's called the FM theory. I don't know if you've heard of that or not. Fucking magic.
I love it. That's the best. That's awesome.
I want to comment real quick on Luna's comment there. You have to be a moderator on YouTube, but the thing is, we're not streaming right from YouTube. We're going through StreamYard, so we don't have direct access to YouTube.
So I'm dropping it in my personal, as a personal person.
As a personal person?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the link and
okay.
You sure that's not breaking any rules? Are you violating any?
No, not violating.
Well, I was going to say, I noticed you didn't say personable person.
Personal. Truth.
So Ramiro, just out of curiosity, so what triggered you to want to get involved with this? I mean, obviously, you've been doing it for what, 20 years now, 21 years now?
Girls, obviously, it's girls.
What?
It's an unending stream of girls.
Look, I'm a chick magnet, can't you see?
I see. I guess that's what I was thinking. Hey.
I was going to ask you, Jack, is that you or is it cold in there? Well, I'm not sure which one there.
I couldn't play guitar.
No, actually, my interest started in the 4th grade, believe it or not. And back in the 4th grade, back in the 60s, there was a photograph that appeared in the local newspaper. And it was a picture of a silver round object that was photographed by a college student out of New Mexico State University, 30, 40 miles down the road from us. And this object he described was round, sphere, and silver. And it just hung there motionless, he said, in the mountains. And he said he took a picture, bent over to change the setting on his camera. When he went back up, it was gone. And at that moment, that's when I said, I want to know about the unknown. I want to know what's out there. Hell, and going into 5th grade, I was trying to arrange investigations into people's homes. Not that they were going to let a fifth grader rummage through their house, but still,
never know.
I tried.
Right.
Why would you ask? You're only in fifth grade. What are they going to do? Throw you in jail?
I'm just looking for some stuff.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
So, so yeah, it's always been there since I was in fourth grade. So that'll tell you how long ago.
That's cool. That's really cool. You can text me the link too, and I can throw it up there.
I can write it
If you want to
down.
do that. Might be. You can write it down.
I put it in.
I got a
3
notebook,
times,
man.
and I put comments and stuff around it.
It's
to
not
see if
going
it would
in,
work. It's just not.
Yeah, just text me. And I can
Old
throw it up
tech,
there,
new
so
tech.
There you go. I like
Full
that.
text.
So what got you started investigating the Doniana?
He has a friend.
That was actually, I was invited by another team. So we
Okay.
did a joint investigation, and it was back in 2011. And there were stories there of the people. There was 2 caretakers there who had passed on that they had experienced some things there, voices, footsteps. It got to the point that they called whatever was there. They called him Bubba, because they said that Bubba was the one taking care of the jail. They thought Bubba was an old corrections officer. And the thing is that as time has gone on, and I've gone back to revisit that place, there's multiple things that are going on there. I actually have an audio recording, and I have a camera where the guy is standing in the hallway. There's 3 investigators. They're standing in the hallway, and one of them turns and directly challenges and says, "This is my jail area now, Bubba." Of course, the camera doesn't hear anything, right? So they walk away. They go back upstairs. However, on the audio recorder that I left there, you can hear right after they said, "This is my jail area, Bubba," you can hear hard footsteps walking toward them. Yet the camera showed absolutely nobody else in the hallway. The 3rd floor, I mean, they labeled that as the insane room, right? The original floor plans. But again, going back, and I said earlier about research the shit out of the place. There's actually newspaper articles that talk about riots that were held there because of inhumane conditions. They used to have isolation rooms up there on the 3rd floor where they would put people in there. And one reporter actually wrote about his experience. He said he went in there to write an article about it, and he said it was like kind of like, what do you call them? Those isolation tanks.
Yeah.
But he said it was all pitch dark in there, in that room. So imagine you have somebody who has mental health issues, and you put them in this type of environment. What do you
Right.
think is going to happen to them? What is it going to do to people like that?
Yeah.
Cures their emotional instability. Obviously, he's better now.
Turns them into paranormal investigators.
That's awesome.
So yeah, there's a lot of history there, a lot of things. The incident with Mary Waters, and I think that place is tied into another dark chapter of Las Cruces history. Cricket Culligan, I'm sure you've heard of that story, or Cricket Cooler.
I have not.
You have not? Okay. Oh, that's a very dark history of Las Cruces. I mean, it was an incident that shook up New Mexico politics at that point. We're talking mafia, we're talking corrupt sheriff, we're talking the person in question at the center of things was involved in some things that people were like, wait a minute. So the hotel that kind of was the focal point, so to speak, for many people it's right across the street from there. It's called the Amador Hotel.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've investigated. We've also investigated the Amador Hotel too. That place is active as well. But anyway, but yeah, there's a whole dark history that is in that particular area, and there's also back in the day there used to be what's called acequias, which is like the canals, and they actually ran through Las Cruces, and the acequia actually ran through the property where the jail is located at. And there's still certain places in downtown Las Cruces that if you walk into the basements, you can still smell it.
Huh.
So the theory about running water and energy, right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like, okay, is this contributing to that? Is that part? I personally believe it's tied into some of the history associated with the Amador Hotel.
Right.
But the acequias that are still running, as underground streams and the rivers in there, do they contribute to the unexplained in that building? Very possible. Is it amplifying what has happened there in the past? Again, very possible.
That's interesting. I know the last time we were there, I think the hotel was under renovation. I think they're redoing it, or somebody bought it, or whatever.
Yeah.
So it looked like a cool building, though. It looked like a neat place to investigate.
Well, you know what? And the thing is, there's a also connection. If you were to look at a map, there's another building behind the Doña Ana County Jail. It used to be the first, the Memorial General Hospital was the first Memorial General Hospital in Las Cruces there. And it's the building behind it. It's kind of like almost like a T shape in a way. But we got a chance to go in there and investigate it. At that time, it was owned by the city, and the city gave us permission, to go in there. And there were stories back then of the employees who used to work there who have seen shadows, I've seen a little boy at the elevators, things like that. So I actually have a video clip where it's me and two other investigators walking down the first floor hallway where they've seen this dark shadow in the past. And as we passed by an office, I stop and I go, "Did you hear that?" And then I said, "Well, you know what? I thought I saw something moving over there, but again, I'm trying to rationalize this." And I'll go, "But it's probably the car headlights because it's open windows, and there's a main street right there next to it. So it's probably car headlights, casting reflections or whatnot." I was wearing what's called back then a helmet cam. You remember when we were, tight on budget then? You got a little camera and you duct tape it to a top of a hard hat. Yeah, so that was my innovative piece of equipment back then. But on my helmet cam, as I'm panning back down the hallway, you see something dark come up from the floor and go all the way up to the ceiling. And mind you, those are 10-foot high ceilings. The camera that we had just passed, it was a static camera, shows nobody else in the hallway besides us. So, you have this hotel that's got things going on. You got the jail there, right there in the middle, and you got this hospital, what used to be a hospital, on the opposite side. So the question again now is, dark history, medical, acequia, amplifying,
Interesting.
The Las Cruces Triangle.
I actually did a post about that, where I drew lines kind of like, okay, is there an intersection point here somewhere on it?
Right.
An energy vortex or
Ley lines going through there somewhere.
ley lines.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Wasn't that a song?
Ley lines.
I think so, yeah.
So
sorry, but I digress.
No, you're good. This is great. It's great information. You investigated the DeSoto?
No, I have not.
Oh, okay.
No, I actually took a tour down there years ago.
I was curious what your thoughts were on it.
Well, I took a tour of it years ago. The tours that are done now are now done by a different group.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, it was done by one of the original tour groups back then. Don't ask me which one it is because they've undergone so many name changes. But I went there with one of my investigators, and at that time, she was discovering she was empathic. And the person I worked with, remember I mentioned to you earlier, the one who was gifted, she recognized her for what she had, her abilities. So she decided to go on a tour. They said, "Hey, let's go on a tour. I'm always curious to see what these tours are all about." And so we went on there, and of course, we wound up in the basement of this hotel. And it was so odd because I remember we're standing there, and there was 3 tour guides, I think, at the time with us. No, there was 4 tour guides at the time with us. And I noticed as once we got in the basement, 3 of them disappeared. And I'm like, okay. So there's one guy up there in the front, and he's like, "Oh yeah, there's a demon here. I can feel it. Come out in the name of Jesus Christ," and this and that, whatever. And he's going on doing this kind of thing, right? In the meantime, my investigator turns around and she starts looking at the back wall. And I'm like, "What's going on?" She goes, "It ain't up there. It's back here." And I went, "Okay." And as soon as she said that, man, I just felt like this sensation on the back of my neck. And I just turned around and I felt there was somebody in that corner looking at us. And the guy she had brought along, her friend, also turned around. This guy was Irish, pure skeptic, right? But he felt the same thing. And in the meantime, behind us, to our back, this guy's yelling, "Oh yeah, it's out here, the demon, I can feel it, blah, blah, blah. Look, I can hear footsteps." And sure enough, as soon as he said that, you hear footsteps on the ceiling above us. And I'm like, wonder where those other tour guides are at. So finally it got to the point where I went like, I went like, hey, sorry, I don't want to interrupt your tour guide, but it ain't up there. It's back here. So yeah, that was my first and only time there.
That's kind of similar. To
Yeah,
our
I say that's
experience,
kind
huh?
of similar. We asked the tour guide if he would leave and let us
do our thing.
do our thing.
And he was totally into it, right?
He was showing us where all the shadows were and all
Yeah.
that, you know. So he was painting a picture for us.
The power of suggestion.
Yeah.
There's a dog one over there.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Is he talking about me?
No.
Well, the funniest thing was when he said, he goes, yeah, if you smell like a sulfur smell, that's the demon. And I'm looking at the ceiling, and there's basically a shit line that runs from the hotel. Going, okay.
You know,
Yeah, we met those demons upstairs.
You know, I'm perfect. You know, when people do tours, I mean, hey, that's entertainment as far as
Right.
I'm concerned. You know,
Right.
that's what people pay for. They want to get the oohs and the ahs. I've been on other tours, and I'm not putting anybody down, you know, but I've been on tours where, you know, they take you on the outside of buildings and they walk you all around, and over here something happened, and over here this happened, and this has been okay, great. I could have done that on my own without shelling out $25. You know, I want to go inside. I want
Right.
to truly experience that, you know.
Right.
So that's, I think, what sets apart the Doña Ana tour. You know, the people that go in there is that you actually go in there and you get
Right.
to actually be in the locations where things have happened and were documented.
So they do
Yeah.
tours in the Dona Ana.
Yeah.
Because I only been there the one time, and that was with our group here. And I assume that's not what the normal tour is, Joey.
No.
Okay.
Now you
gotta-
can go in there with a group of investigators and basically
that's-
rent it.
That's what we
That's
did.
what we
We
did,
went in by ourselves that night. So I'd never been on a tour. I've never been on a paranormal tour. I didn't actually know that they were a thing. So that's kind of interesting. You know, I haven't
Oh,
been
we
on
got one going on this weekend, Jack.
Say what? Where's that gonna happen?
There
Up in Globe.
Ding
Globe.
dong. Ding dong in the dale. So what is it you're going to be doing at Paracon? Are you doing a presentation or are you
Yeah,
doing
well,
your class? Or?
I'm going to be doing what's called Beginning Paranormal Investigators or
Sweet.
Investigation 101, basically. And it's just to talk to people about, you know, okay, this is what a paranormal investigator, you know, what he does, and kind of try to dispel or create a line or delineation between what you see on TV versus what actually happens in real life are two different things, you know. And try to kind of hopefully clarify or demystify some of the things out there, you know, and kind of give people maybe a sense or some sort of guidance as to, okay, you want to do this, great, but I'm sorry. See, I'm hoping I'm not getting that reaction from the audience, Jack.
No.
Oh, you're not. You're not.
No, I'm listening. Yeah, sorry. I wish I could finish.
So anyway, yeah, if I start seeing that during my presentation, I'm out of there, man. I don't know.
Oh, then I guess I can't come to your class.
So are you just doing one day or are you doing both days?
No, I'm doing both days.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, and again, this is for people who maybe want to start doing this, but don't know how to begin or where to start. You know, I don't, you know, and I draw upon my own experiences when I first started this. And I remember the very first time I went to investigate with a group. And this is something that I hope that with people, they don't, for people to avoid, and I hope others don't go through this, but when I was invited to do an investigation, they told me, show up at this place at such and such a time. Okay, so I show up there and I go, what do I do? Well, here's a camera. Start recording. What? You know, I was like, okay, do I need to do a Woody Allen type thing? You know, just film everything. You know, do a montage. What? You know, it was just an artistic thing. Yeah, and that's what I want people to avoid. There was this other girl who also showed up, and basically they told her the same thing. Here you go, just record. And of course, they didn't prepare us for anything like that. You know, they don't say, okay, this is what you need to do if something was to happen. Nothing. You know, it was just, there you go, just record. Then afterwards, it was like, okay, what do we do now? Give me back the cameras.
Yeah.
Thanks for the work.
Okay. Yeah,
Hope
that
you
was
got
it.
something good for us.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. You know.
Interesting.
So I want people to, when I do these classes, you know, I want people to understand that there are things out there, I know, and tend to sound cliche-ish, that we don't fully quite comprehend. And and in my class, I hope to teach them, not during this one, because like I said, it's an 8-hour class. I'm going to try to condense into a 1-hour presentation. But during my 8-hour class, I teach people how to put boundaries out,
Right.
so that if something is there and it's affecting you, it may not, it's not negative all the time. I said, because whatever's there may not realize how they're physically affecting you. So, I teach them how to be nice about putting your boundaries out, to let whatever's there know, you're not allowed to do these things to me. You're not allowed to use me or touch me or anything like that. And during the class, I teach them how to focus on creating a little bubble of white light around them. And I said, just practice on that, and then, practice on extending that bubble of light outwards. And I said, and before you know it, when you're doing an investigation and you feel you're being affected by whatever, you automatically snap into that mode without thinking about that.
Where does that come from? You said you're not Reiki, so where does that block in the?
That comes from what the gifted person, the things that I learned
advice
from her.
You were giving from someone else. Okay.
Yeah, she taught me, and like I said before, all this happened. I mean, I would go out there and I do what they would. I was copying what they did on TV. Oh yeah, you can use my energy. You can do this. You can use my Visa card. Things like that. Which is a big no-no. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah, because they charge stuff like crazy.
Yeah, tell me about it. I'm trying to figure out. I'm still trying to get over the Amazon thing, but that's a different thing.
Well, that was one of my points I was going to bring up, though. That I think it's great what you do, because for the most part, the groups we deal with are they're just phenomenal groups. But there are those out there that they see it on TV, they see Ghost Adventures, they see whatever it is, and they think they're just going to jump right in, and this is what they're going to get, and all this other stuff, and they get disappointed. So I think what you do is incredible. I mean, I would pay for that before I would pay for a tour. You know what I mean? If I was interested in getting into the field, I'd be more interested in taking a class on it than just jumping right in. But
it's a nonprofit.
We offer classes.
Yeah.
We offer it free. It's a free class. That. We do that because here in the border area, the borderland towns and areas that we cover, we've been to, there's an interesting phenomena that occurs that it's a cultural phenomena more than anything else. I don't know if you guys have seen this. You're from Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you've ever encountered that over there, but in this area, for example, and along the border areas going south, there's this hesitancy to recognize or address or even talk about these type of things. And even though there's people out there who want to talk and they want to bring it out in the open and whatnot, they're being held back by the cultural heritage that they have, because back in across the border in Mexico, their grandparents and their relatives probably said, no, don't talk about that, no, that's the devil, blah blah blah. I'm gonna have to bless you. You're gonna have to say X number of Holy Marys. I'm gonna do a cleansing, yada yada yada, right? And to this day, there's people still in Mexico that at night they cover. And I remember as a kid even seeing this. They cover their mirrors at night because there's that belief that they're used as portals. Or when somebody passes away, they cover mirrors and TVs because they feel it can be used as a portal. And which is interesting because back then they didn't understand the concept of ITC, which is the instrumental transcommunication. You guys are familiar with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
So no. Okay. Well, you remember back in the day when you would put a camera on a TV, a camcorder, and it would kind of create like
I do that
this weird mirror image.
Yeah, digital feedback there.
Yeah,
or the video.
So that was called that was the start of ITC, instrumental transcommunication.
Oh, okay.
And they, that belief was it would open up some sort of portal, whatever. Some people use the term water scrying, where that's kind of like an ITC method as well. But back then, again, like I said, I'm talking when I was a kid back in the 60s, I would see people doing this, cover up mirrors, TVs, things like that because of the belief. And even now to this day, there's still folks who don't want to talk about this, don't want to address this, again, because of that cultural heritage or cultural attachment that goes with it. But the funny part is you go up 30 miles to Las Cruces and they're like, yeah, we know we got the stuff here. Come on down. It's like, yeah, we got a warehouse full here. Come on down for the sale.
That's funny. That's interesting that you said that they still do that, though, that tradition with covering the mirrors. That's fascinating.
Yeah. That's how you know you don't stay for dinner.
I know that's
Hold on, I got to go cover my mirrors. You go,
No.
See you later, bye.
it's
We
a
don't cover
Jewish
no,
tradition. I know.
No,
That was my
don't-
Jewish accent.
Yeah, no, we just don't answer the door, man. That's it.
That's funny.
You'll see the blinds move, but it's not poltergeist activity. It's just us checking to see if you're still there.
You're still there.
You're still here.
So,
Oh no, go ahead.
did you have something to say?
At some point, I want to share a video for all the budding paranormal investigators out there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That
But first, Keith.
want to
Oh, and let me throw
review
this
it
also
together.
in. Yeah, let me throw this other thing in too, which I think is very, very important. And I stress this during the class, and I stress this with my clients as well. When they call us and when they ask us if we can investigate their place, I always tell people, you want to interview, not once but multiple times before you should even consider taking the case, because during that interview process, if the case is legit, everything should go smoothly. But if it's not legit, you're going to get red flags. That's why when I take a case, I usually do multiple interviews just to ensure that everything is kosher. Okay. Because if not, you could walk into a case and before you know it, you're involved in a police matter, you're involved in an adult protective services matter, you could be involved in a child protective services matter, you could be involved in all sorts of legal issues.
Oh, there's story behind all that.
Yeah. See, so I always tell people, again, it comes back to that same thing. Research the shit out of it. Same thing when you're doing, before you take a case. Research, interview.
Interesting. So Joey or Keith, whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think these two guys are going. Are you guys attorneys? Because you guys look like I just took away your business.
No.
No, it actually
It's a good point.
They're vapor locked because they're thinking deeply.
It would
They're
kind
like,
of
holy shit.
it would kind of set up this clip because it's a residential clip.
Mhm.
But,
Let's go to the clip then.
all right, I'll set it up a little bit since I'm familiar with the location, and it's really quick.
This isn't the one from my house, is it?
No,
Okay, good.
no. So this is a security camera that's motion activated, and to the left of where the scene is a smoker grill. And anyway, it's really short, but let's see if you might want to make it full screen when I do it
Okay.
because it's really quick, and hopefully the sound is
I
up
don't know if it'll let me make it full screen. Hold on.
or big screen.
It only lets me do that option.
Well, Dan, I'll kick out and you can do
Okay.
another one. Bye.
Okay.
What happened?
I don't know. I don't see the screen yet.
There you go.
so-
Try that. Oops.
Yeah, let's
Do it
see.
Biffity boffity.
Come back, Jack.
I'll be back in a minute.
That's all it's going to let me do.
Well, son of a
Is it
bitch.
going to be our screen that disappears, or
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So
yeah.
when I do this, it'll be our screen.
Okay.
Push the
okay.
button.
There we
There
go.
So there it goes.
Enjoy your beer.
Okay.
Saw that all.
I got to see that again.
Yeah. I saw that and I heard it.
Now I don't know if anybody's home or not. That's almost like a
Do it again,
Yeah, but you
Jimmy.
can see it off to the left. Go ahead and do
What
that.
the fuck are you talking about?
To the right. Sorry. To the right of the screen. You start
it
to
starts
see
at the right of the screen and
Doing
then
the Cupid
it
shuffle.
goes off, and then you hear it clunk, right?
Uh-huh.
It's interesting.
Bizarre. I don't
Well,
know.
it's interesting because you notice it changes shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does?
You didn't see it, Jack?
I saw video anomaly. I didn't see anything that was like a thing.
Do we have to play it again for Jack?
Yeah, because there was nothing there.
Okay. Well, it's interesting that it makes the noise.
I hear a noise. I definitely hear a noise, but I'm missing.
Okay. And then
You're
you
talking about
see
this
a
little bit of light thing going on here. I'm pointing at it like you can
yeah,
see
but
me.
it's just a
Sorry,
it's
go
just
ahead.
a wall behind there. So that's what I'm trying to
Behind
think if
where?
it's a
There-
where the camera is located.
On the right hand
There's
side
no
where the
door
fence
there?
is.
There's a door. The door would be right, probably low, right where the camera's at.
We need tools.
And
Where's this? Where's the smoker?
smoker's on the left,
Up
the
above the
camera.
wall.
right next to that table.
Oh, we can't see it. Okay.
We can't see it. Yeah. Then there's something going on shadowy at the bottom. It's almost like somebody's shadow.
What side? What side?
On the right side, it look like a pair of. You see a little bit of light between like a pair of pants. It almost looks like.
It's
And
like
then
somebody standing
um,
there.
Yeah, and the head ends
Yeah.
up right
Yeah, but
about where the light spot is on the on
but
the
if
pool.
you're doing it that way, Joey, your perspective, your light source is on the wrong side.
Well, that's what makes it.
No,
more,
that's what makes it
more
interesting.
intriguing.
Yeah.
That the shadows that way.
Yeah, it'd be backwards.
And the camera actually bounced a little bit at the end. Did you see
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I
And
saw
then you
shaking
see
the
some
camera.
movement in the shadow at the bottom. One more time. I got to see this.
One more time.
It really looks like a door closing, though. That's what's
Yeah.
interesting. But I don't know.
Yeah, and that would make sense if it was a door closing, that the wall would shake
Right.
where the camera is.
Yeah, I'm just seeing a video anomaly.
But I don't know that anybody's home. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, that's the question.
Because she keeps these cameras up while she's at work. So
Yeah.
Huh.
anyway,
Very interesting.
Very not as impressive as I wanted it to be.
Oh, stop it.
Well, it wasn't.
Drop your comments.
Who was that? Whose video was that?
It's my daughter's,
Cool.
and her husband just passed away. So
Oh my good gosh. Well, that's. Rough.
she takes
I-
watching her videos.
I can totally understand
personally.
that. That makes a big difference.
There's a screen door in front of that too. I
There is
guess,
a
or
screen
or
door.
there is no screen door.
Oh, there is no screen door.
But the curious part is if anybody was home when that was captured.
Yeah.
Because if not, that
Michelle,
would
was
make it
anybody
more-
home when that did
How-
that?
How'd you come to find it?
She sent it to me.
Not you.
Oh, her. She
her.
It
She
was a-
watches her
it's a-
videos.
It's a home
Okay.
video recording.
Well, no, I have a home
security
surveillance system at
Yeah.
my house, so I was
Well,
curious.
whatever it is that you got something physical occurred
Right.
because you hear that clunk and then you, like you said, the camera shakes.
Right.
So that in itself, if nobody was home, that's interesting.
Right.
You know, but you know, I'll be honest with you all, folks. I'm not a big believer in orbs. You know, when I first started out, I was like every picture I took. Oh, look, there's orbs. Oh, look. Oh, oh, look, the orbs are following me. No, I just didn't dust the house.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not a big believer in orbs, and I would say, based on my personal estimation, that about anywhere between 90 up to 97, 98% of them are just what I call particulate contaminants in the environment. You know, and one of the things that the gifted person taught was that, and mind you, she had been doing this for years. She found out she was sensitive at an early on and had the good fortune to be mentored. But she said that a true orb will have color, at least what she has run into. And so oftentimes you'll hear people talk about they'll see sparkles of color off in a corner of their eye. Have you ever had anybody tell that to you at some point? Or I quite a few people have told me that they've seen, you know, even before I tell them about this, you know, that, you know, in this person's opinion that orbs are colored. People have told me that they'll see sparkles of color, just like a little kaleidoscope of colors, quick colors, and then that's it. And of course, most people would assume, well, they're floaters, you know, or something to do with your eyes, you know, that kind
Right.
of stuff.
When I stand
But
up
it's-
real fast, I get those.
Yeah, exactly, you know. Or if I put something in my pipe, I'm not supposed to, but that's a different story.
There's something you're not supposed to put in the pipe?
Now, so, but it's interesting that when these people tell me, and then I hearken back to what other people have told me, you know, about seeing this. I've never personally experienced that, but I have documented some cases where, you know, if you record an orb on camera, it's great. But if you record something that physically occurs when that orb manifests, I mean, to me, that's like a standard, almost like a gold standard.
Right.
And I'll give you an example. We just finished investigating a couple of weeks ago this antique store, and the owner had reported various things going on in there. So as I'm getting ready to walk out and the rest of the investigation of the building, I'm carrying it's a thermal meter. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but it's got a little thermal sensor embedded in it. So it detects if there's hot areas or cold areas. So the human walks across it, it turns red. If something cold, anywhere between 40 degrees and below, walks in front of it, it lights up blue. So as I'm getting ready to walk out, all of a sudden you see this little white object fly across, and then all of a sudden this thing reacts. You can see it's on camera, it reacts, and it's turning blue. So, but there's nobody there in front of me except for this one little thing that flew by. So, if you can get that kind of evidence, man, that is awesome.
It wasn't by chance the antique store that is on the way from Las Cruces to
No,
El Paso, was it? Okay.
No. This one's actually got a casket in there.
Oh, okay.
It was interesting on that one there. Nobody's bought the casket yet. I don't know why. I think it's a great ornament.
Was it used?
We don't know. See, that's the whole thing. We don't know the history on it yet.
There's just a casket sitting there.
Yeah.
Is that a restaurant?
It probably came from Concordia when they put the freeway through.
Yeah.
No, but it was an old casket, probably made around, from what I can tell, based on the plate that's on there. It's kind of beat up, but it looks like maybe the casket was made around the 1930s.
Oh, okay.
So it could have been a display casket, or it could have been somebody bought the casket and decided not to use it. I don't know.
And where is it? It's just
sitting right there in the middle of the store. Yeah, it's an antique store. It's right there in the middle of the floor.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you get those kind of things, like I said, then that's awesome. If you can get that kind of evidence, that's awesome. Because that in my opinion at least, that removes a lot of conjecture, a lot of what ifs and doubts about something going on. Yeah. But
damn.
I don't mean to bore you guys. So
No, don't worry. It's fascinating to me. It's crazy because of the amount of evidence that's not only like verifiable or provable or whatever. It's so limited, but it's always so personal, and it's like I guess in a way envious when you have that kind of evidence for yourself, because really it doesn't matter to share it with anybody else. To me, it's like having a genuine religious experience. You can tell everybody about it all you want. It doesn't make any difference. If they didn't experience it, they have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. So even when showing someone these videos, everyone's first thought is, oh, bullshit, you did this, you did whatever. That's annoying. So it's like, I don't want to share it with you. I just want to have it. I want to witness it. I want to be there for me. It has really little to do with being able to prove it to anybody else, because it's never secondary. It doesn't mean shit. It's just for you. And that's what interests me about this the most, is there is a journey for me in that I want very specific things that I want to experience, or I hope to experience. And if I do, great. If I don't, that's what I expect. I expect not to. So I struggle with not blocking out too much, because I have a genuine concern about letting in too much, because I have my beliefs about that too. But it's really neat that you had that much personal experience with finding evidence. That's really cool.
Well, when I first started off in this field, and I'm sure everybody has gone through this, every little noise is something paranormal. Every little thing you hear, see, whatever.
He said your name. That was my address. That was my phone number.
Yeah, somebody growl. Somebody's stomach's growling. That sounds like somebody talking an audio recorder.
Right. That kind of stuff drives me nuts. When someone goes, "Did you hear it?" I was like, if you have to ask me, then no. It's a no. Like when it's clear, concise, that makes sense. But when we're all trying to decipher what was said, I'm bored.
Oh yeah. Well, one of the things I teach people is that not everything normal, and this is the mantra for them to take into the field. Not everything normal is paranormal.
Right.
Okay. Because and it's interesting, because if you were to go and watch our video clip that we recorded our investigations from beginning to end, I guarantee you're going to hear people constantly going, "That was my stomach. That was my stomach. No, that was me farting. No, that was my stomach. That was me farting. Oh, that was me. That's. I have a acid reflux right now going on." But I make people do that.
Right.
And I tell them, I said, don't, when you do an investigation, you leave your personal inhibitions at the door.
Right.
Because we want to get as much taint-free evidence as we can.
Taint-free.
Yeah. You bump into something,
Yeah,
especially some of my investigators and myself, we're a little bit on the more geriatric side. So, yeah, it's not unusual to hear somebody go, "Oh, those were my knees." Oh.
We get that all the time.
Sorry, everybody, I just peed.
Was that one you wore that coat that was loud? Every
Oh
time you
yeah,
walked,
that was
you
my
hear
leather jacket.
Who's wearing pleather, Dennis?
Yeah.
that
Thank
was
God.
funny.
Thank God corduroy pants are no longer in style.
Right.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
So yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say we're about out of time. So
sorry.
no, you're good. I all your occurrences tonight have been freaking awesome.
What,
Yeah,
what,
it was
what day
a
are
lot
you
of
at
fun.
Paracon?
Both days.
October 2nd and 3rd. Yeah, and just for people who may not be aware, the Las Cruces Paracon is going to be held at the Convention Center, which is next to NMSU. Some people were asking me, "Oh, is it the Pan Am Center?" No, that's the Pan Am Center is a huge place on the other side of the campus. This one's on the opposite side of the campus, and it's nice. It's a nice little cozy place for people to go to. If I had to give a presentation in the Pan Am Center, I might as well go in there dressed like Elton John, man.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So are you going to do the investigation on Saturday
Are we
At
talking
the
about
jail?
which one?
at the jail?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
Well,
Just
is there an
kidding.
is there an investigation in the jail? Wait.
Yeah, they're doing the VIP tickets and everything for people to go do an investigation there.
No, I have well, that's their business there. I have a personal connection to the jail from 2011, and because of the results that we found, that's what brought the Ghost Adventures, not only to investigate that place, but also for those, when you all ever come back down this direction, you should set up an appointment or talk to Jerry, the general manager of the Double Eagle Restaurant in Mesilla.
Yeah, would love to.
Okay.
Yeah.
That guy, let me put it this way. This guy, they know they got things going on. Okay. They know it. And, a lot of places I've been to, restaurants, businesses, they're like, no, we don't want to know. Jerry's like, open door. Yeah, come on in. We know we got things going on. And, if you reach out to him ahead of time, he may, how can I put it to you this way? They have employees who literally fight to the death to see who's going to spend the night with the team.
Wow.
Yeah, it was closed because of COVID.
Right. Yeah, I think they're open
were
up
there,
again.
so-
Yeah. But yeah, that place is super active. I have so much stuff that's happened there it ain't funny. I mean, but yeah. And the stories of the star-crossed lovers there, that's just one small facet of that entire place.
I do like Star-Crossed Lovers quite a little bit.
I'll tell you what, Mesilla was such a cool little town, man. It was almost like you went like travel back in time almost, It was just so cool to see all the little shops and everything that were through there. The restaurants are phenomenal in there. And it was such a cool little town.
Streets are so narrow.
They
Yeah,
are.
they
They
are.
are. But it's such a it's a neat little town.
Yeah.
But you know what? That town has got a lot of what I say, activity there. Okay, I've investigated the Double Eagle 9 times in 11 years. We were asked to go in and do the Mesilla Marshal's office there, the law enforcement agency down there. We went and did the community center there. We did the Fountain Theater there. So there's always all sorts of things going on, and if you were to look at the Double Eagle from the plaza, you'll see the Double Eagle here, but there's a long building, all right, and there's different shops in this building.
Yep.
They've seen a little girl here at the Double Eagle, but when you talk to these other people, if they want to talk to you, they've all reported seeing a little girl run through their shops that disappears. So whoever this little girl is, goes through there. And if you ever get a chance, I'm not hyping these. I'm not pimping myself out for these people. Let's make that clear here. There's a restaurant there called La Posta Restaurant. We did the first and only investigation ever allowed there. And you know what? There is a place there where the bar is at. And the night we went in, the manager who spent the night with us told us that she was closing up one night and she screamed because she said she saw a man hanging from the rafters there.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, geez.
But disappeared, right? We actually have a clip where it's like we're in the one dining room and the camera's pointed through the archways where the main bar is at, and it leads into an archway into another dining room. And in this camera, something is recorded, which I have yet to, after all these years, cannot explain. But you see something popping out from what appears to be initially from a dining room at the far end. But when you look at it closer, it's actually coming out of the wall. But it's something comes out, keeps coming out, and as it's coming out, it's changing tones. It's going from like a black to a gray to almost transparent. And then it goes back in again. That's just as quick.
Wow.
We still don't know. We've never been able to find out what that is. We don't know what that is. There was nobody in that other room. So,
Wow.
That's crazy.
anyway, but again, I'm not pimping myself out.
But all those clips are all on your YouTube, right?
That one, I believe it is. You have to look into that. So yeah, and if you folks come on down to El Paso, you've got a couple of tours that are going on here as well. Now, I am pimping myself out for El Paso here, okay?
All right.
There you go.
Call me the 915 pimp. So anyway,
Boy,
that 915 is the area code, by the way.
Ooh.
So what happens here in El Paso, they got multiple tours. They got Concordia tour. They do a walking tour downtown of lots of places down there. Some of the places, the things have happened. So yeah, I mean, this whole area is a paranormal mine, so to speak. You know.
Interesting.
So yeah, I hope to see you guys. I hope to see everybody who's here at the paranormal convention.
Yeah, we'll definitely see you there. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Now,
So
before we sign off, can I ask you guys a question?
sure.
Have you all ever done the what do you call it? The Birdcage Theater?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What did you encounter there? I'm curious.
I got some really good rest.
We got some really good rest. The Birdcage Theater is where's the Birdcage Theater? Because all I'm
Tombstone.
thinking
in
of.
Tombstone.
Okay, I'm thinking of downtown.
Oh, you're at
No, it's
yeah,
cool.
you're
It was a great place.
Yeah, it was a neat place.
Good, some good rest.
I was tired.
One of their
okay?
first investigations.
Well, we actually got a voice. We were invited to go down there and investigate by some of the people who worked at the Tombstone to do the tours. They invited us to go down there, so we went and did a joint investigation with an all-female team. And the first team that went in there was one of my guys and one of their women, one of their team. And they went in, and as they're walking back out, you can see the camera at the front, and she stops and she goes, "Did you hear that? Were you just whistling?" And he goes, "No." However, down in the area where they played poker,
Yep.
okay, there's a voice that comes out that says, "Go to hell." And I think I posted that on there too as well on our YouTube.
Watch that one.
Yeah, but yeah, that one, it was interesting because there's a lot of things that they say happen there. We got the growl that happens down there, and one of the investigators from the other team was one of my female investigators, and there's a story there I'm sure you've heard about the woman seen in I guess they call it in her underwear. So some people say yeah, they think that she's one of the ladies who used to work there in the brothel. So
She wasn't the cook.
no, but the proper term for that is pantaloons. Okay, just to clarify for people, So they're investigators there, and I have it, I think, on audio, if I recall correctly, that she's asking, "Is this the lady who has been seen here in her white underwear?" All of a sudden, the two-way radio she has kicks in, and she thought it was me calling. So she's trying to reach out to us. We're at the front of the building, and she's trying to reach out to us, and we're not hearing the radio click on or anything. When we went, and when she came back, she goes, "Hey, were y'all trying to reach us? We were trying to call you, but you weren't responding." We're like, "We didn't hear you all. The radio never came on our end."
Huh.
When I went back and reviewed the audio on that, the camera or the audio You hear the radio click on, and then you hear this male voice comes on and says, "Fue amiga mía," and then clicks off.
Huh.
Right after she said, "Is this the woman in underwear that has been seen here?" Well, translated, it says, "That's my friend."
Wow.
So I said, obviously some cowboy there was rushing to the defense of the woman, because back then it wasn't considered gentlemanly to refer to women in their underwear.
Right.
It was their dainty things, or, but you never referred to them in their underwear.
Right.
And it was interesting because whatever this male voice was very strong in saying, "She was my friend." Like, watch what you're saying.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Talking shit from afar. Say, hey, boy, you dead?
I smelt some rose perfume
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
on that.
Yeah.
Well, right behind the stage. Yeah. And you did catch a EVP down in the poker room.
Was it a ghost tube or?
Well, it was in between the ghost tube. The ghost tube, I can't remember what the ghost tube said, but I think you picked up on your audio coming.
Oh, yeah. I did.
Yeah.
Rose perfume.
I did.
And I would like to throw in this was the last thing. I know we're I'm kind of running over on time, but the key to success in this field is having a very, very good team and well-trained team who know what they're doing. And in that aspect, I'm very lucky to have the team that I do now. And I just want to give a shout out to Jacqueline Caney, Tony Olivares, Emily Olguin, and Alex. And we have a new member, Jason Swallow. They all come from different backgrounds. We have people who are retired like me. Some people are bakers, caterers, real estate, EMT, and we have one in law enforcement.
Cool.
But they've all attended my class. They've all attended the paranormal investigation class, the 8-hour class, that is. And, I've been very, very lucky in having this good team, because Emily is gifted. And I tell you what, it was interesting. We had she's had some interesting encounters. For some reason, they like her. She's probably because she's the youngest one of the team right now.
Right.
But yeah.
She's the hip one in the crew.
Yeah, there you go. She knows all the current slang words. Okay, so if I catch an EVP, that says boomer, forget about it. I'm retiring again.
I love that you teach this class, and I love that you don't charge anything for it. That's so cool, because it adds a level of integrity that I think is neat, and makes this, I don't know, it seems like the right thing to do. And I realize everyone's got to make a living, but at the same time, it's always makes it hard for me to palate some of this stuff when there's a charge involved, because it kind of kills your ability to be authentic, because we all know you have bills to pay. So if you're charging something for it, it's hard for me to just suspend my disbelief when someone's like, "Yeah, it'll be $50. Most interesting thing you ever heard."
Yeah, I'm going to charge you $25. I'll make it worth your while.
Hey, yeah, exactly. So no, I love that you do a nonprofit with it. That's so cool. I didn't even know such a thing existed. So I'm very, very interested and intrigued.
Yeah, and the thing is that this is not a fast and fixed class, meaning this is my way or the highway. This is for people to understand, and hopefully when they go out and they want to do this, they'll develop their own guidance, their own protocols, their own method of investigating, but they need to have a stepping stone. Not go through what I went through, when I first started out in this field. And God forbid, I hope they never, ever encounter something negative.
That's awesome.
Because the negative part, awesome.
No, just your take on it.
Yeah.
The allowing people to develop their own thing. I find that's really cool. A lot of people, you speak from a point of authority. When you speak from a point of authority, it leaves nowhere to go.
Right.
The idea that you're sharing your experience with, this is what I've got, do with it what you will, and take it your own way, is the right way to present stuff, because nobody knows. Yeah. And I love your attitude about it. And I think I'm finding it very interesting.
Well,
so
what I stress a lot is, if you're doing this, you have to have 2 core keywords, that you have to live by: credibility and integrity. You have to have that, because if you don't, then it becomes a joke.
Right, exactly.
And again, getting back to what I was saying, I don't want anybody to experience what I experienced when I ran into the negative thing that came after me.
Right.
It almost broke me. Luckily, it didn't, but I learned from that.
Right.
So by using that experience, I hope to impart to people to make them fully aware and understand this is not a joking matter in some instances. It's not what you see on TV. There are repercussions that can occur if you go in there with a wrong mindset.
Right.
That's very cool.
And on that happy note,
Don't get possessed and moving along. No, I love that. I love that you shared. Thank you for sharing that with us. And
you're welcome.
I really do hope I get a chance to meet you in person there. So
yeah, look for the guy that's storing acorns for the winter here. Okay.
yeah, I'm hiding mine. So
Well, I do think we have a consensus that even after the Paracon's done, we'd love to have you back on the show again to talk some more, because I know
Well, I appreciate it.
There's a lot we could talk about still.
Yeah,
and
fascinating
present
stuff.
some of your evidence and everything. So,
well, I appreciate it. There are times when I make mistakes, and I'll be the first one to admit. I'll go, "Ooh, I recorded something." Then I have to stop and take a break and come back and review it again. And then I realized, oh no, that was somebody else's voice. But it was because I was tired. So, I understand my own limitations on these things, and I understand I have to admit when I'm wrong.
that's very cool.
cool.
It's very grown up of you.
I know, but don't tell my wife that, okay?
I won't.
Right.
She'll think I'm mature. No, she'll think I'm mature, and that's it.
Then they
It'll
start
be over.
expecting things. Yeah.
I know you're a grown up, damn it.
No, I'm not.
Do you
Well,
guys have
again-
any other questions or anything else for me?
I don't think really anything for the moment, do we? We know when you're going to appear, and I think anything else we can wait till we can lock you down in person.
Yeah, I shared your link on there earlier, so please go check out Ramiro's page and go subscribe, go like and share it.
Yeah.
And,
YouTube and our Facebook page. I know we have both. That's why.
Okay.
I got into the YouTube videos a little late here, so a lot of what you see there was results of investigations in the past that I just said, oh yeah. Somebody said, oh, do YouTube. What's that?
Well, go.
So-
Funny.
So you have more on your Facebook page?
Yeah,
Posted there, that's
early
all.
on before I started posting onto YouTube. Yeah, there's some stuff early on in there. Some of it I don't share because it's of a personal nature. The families have chosen not to publish it.
Right.
And others we've been lucky that they have given their approval. And for me, I think the best parts, the most positive things that have come out of doing this is being able to help somebody come to terms with what's going on. There was a book written about this that it was a family who had lost their son in a motorcycle accident. It was a tragic accident, and they had moved from the house that they used to live in where it happened because things were happening there. They bought a new house, moved there, and 10 years later they were still grieving. And there were things going on in their house, and they called us in because they were like, okay, we want to know, is this our imagination or what's going on? We were able to later determine that there was a lot of emotions that, when you're still grieving 10 years down the road, that's a lot. And we were able to provide some evidentiary documentation to them to say, okay, yeah, he's here. And the gifted person who was with us, she called herself a spiritual counselor. Her translation to them was, he's here. He keeps coming back to reassure you that everything is fine, that you need to move on. Celebrate his life instead of grieve for him.
Right.
And the most impactful moment was when we were in the house walking around in the master bedroom, and the family was in another side of the house. We didn't want them with us when we were doing this. And as I start walking into the master bedroom closet, it was a walk-in closet. I mean, I felt like I just hit this huge wall of energy. I mean, I literally just bounced. I was like, whoa. So I asked the other two investigators with me, one who is the one that had the Foley gifts and the other one who had beginning empathic abilities, without telling them what I felt like, hey, walk through that door. As soon as they got to that door, man, they just felt this sudden burst. They didn't, So afterwards, we're talking to the family, and I'm asking the mother, what is it you all do in the closet? I mean, is it a place that you and your husband go in there to have discussions? You know, like I was trying to be diplomatic. You know, no. I mean, like arguments. Okay,
Gotcha.
Let me clarify that.
That was a diplomatic way to put it. Are you guys going to have a conversation?
So she said no. She goes no, and I go, well, this is what we felt when we were going in there. And she was like, well, maybe it's my grandmother's stuff that's in there. You know, her grandmother had passed away some years back. And I go, no. The counselor was going, no, it doesn't feel that way. It feels something totally different. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, well, whatever it is in there, it's really strong. For somebody who's not gifted, not sensitive, and for me to feel that, that's pretty damn strong.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks later, after we had wrapped up our investigation and I was reviewing, she calls me about 2 weeks later. And she says, you know, I have a confession. Okay. And she says, you were right about the closet. What do you mean? She goes, yeah, the closet. There's things that go on in that closet I didn't tell you about. Like what? And yeah, I know, like, I was kind of expecting the worst here, you know, but she goes, no, she goes, when I go in there, she goes, I keep my son's decorations in there. What decorations are we talking about? Because she had another son, an older son, still living with him. And I go, are you talking about your older son? She goes, no, the one who passed away. I keep his decorations in there. For what? She goes, every holiday I go and I decorate his headstone. And I go, okay, which is not unusual in this part, you know, around here.
Right.
And she said, and I asked her, so what's so unusual about that? She goes, I walk in there, and when I'm going through his decorations, trying to decide what to take, she goes, I start thinking about him. And when I start thinking about him, I start getting sad. And she goes, and before you know it, I'm just crying for hours on end in there. So what we were feeling, as near as I can interpret it, was her emotions were all in here in this room, you know. And our guidance to her was, you have to, you know, get beyond the grief. You have to celebrate his life, because the spiritual counselor is telling you, you know, he's coming back. He's being forced to come back to try to reassure you that he's okay, that everything is fine. You know, there's no guilt. There shouldn't be any guilt involved, you know, because of the circumstances of the accident. And the father was the skeptic. Okay, but after we investigated and we provided the results and whatnot, and some other encounters he had, he wrote a book where he came to terms and understood that his son had moved on, and that his son was giving them signs that everything was all right with him. And because of that, his father was able to accept it and, you know, celebrate his son's life by writing that book. So wow. I consider myself extremely lucky that we had a small part in helping this family come to terms.
That's awesome.
Wow. Damn.
That's crazy.
I'm sorry. I mean, all I hear is sighs.
You just sunshine and roses, aren't you, all the time, huh? So then, when I went to the...
Did I see your glasses fog up there?
I got a 30-minute drive, bro. It's good. God.
Sorry, I just...
No, I appreciate you sharing. I really do appreciate you sharing. I'd be interesting, very interesting.
That's what I said. We definitely have to have you back on again, because I'm sure there's a lot more you can share.
Can you cook?
Can you cook?
I'm just curious. Just yeah.
Pinto beans and Van Camp's pinto beans. Yeah.
There you go.
Better than me.
You know, just put the can in the microwave. You'll get a surprise.
That's for sure you will.
I'm a sterno man myself, so
you might be talking to the other side.
Cool.
Well, Ramiro, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Please don't forget, go check out the YouTube channel and his Facebook page. And there you go. And we look forward to seeing you in Las Cruces.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to it.
I know, brother.
All righty. Sounds good. We'll see you then.
Sounds good. Thanks again.
Have a great night.
Have a great night. Thank
too.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
He reminds me so much.
Not of your Uncle Joe. I thought I did.
No, your Uncle Joe. He's Charlie.
Okay. Uncle Charlie?
He reminds me of Charlie. It's not Uncle. He's, I don't know how he's related to me. He's my son's grandfather.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Crazy. Son's grandfather on the mother's side, twice removed. And once involved, and it doesn't matter.
You know what I want to know?
No.
I want to know, ask Lunar where where the Willard Library is.
Who the hell's Lunar? Who's Lunar?
Lunar's been making comments on.
I saw the
Yeah.
comment. Who is Lunar? Do I know Lunar? Do
No.
we know Lunar?
I believe he or she is new to the channel.
Yeah,
Sweet.
they're talking about doing
He
tours
or
at the
she.
Willard. I believe it was the Willard Library or something like that. That sounds very interesting.
Very
So I
cool.
want to know where it's at.
I don't know.
Tell me. I want to know now.
Hello, Lunar.
And guess what?
What?
We get to keep our
I know.
koozies.
Nobody guessed.
Nobody even bothered
Nobody
guessing.
guessed.
Like, I don't
Nobody
give a
even
shit
took
about
a
that.
wild
God
guess.
damn it.
Episode 35.
Yeah, we'll accept numbers. You know,
Just start
episode
guessing. Somebody pretend like they're
episode 1 through whatever we've got going on here. So
Does anybody want a friggin' koozie? Is it what's the Black Mariah? Is that the Black Dahlia?
the Black Mariah is in the
In the birdcage.
birdcage.
Is that like the
It's
Black
a hearse.
Dahlia?
It's a hearse,
It's a black
Oh.
hearse. Yeah.
one of those
Like the black dog.
horse-drawn
Hearse.
carriage hearses.
Where's it at?
Birdcage Theater.
I haven't been there.
In Tombstone here.
Birds are outside the norm.
So don't forget, October 2nd and 3rd,
Ooh,
Las
it's
Cruces
the
Paracon. We will be there.
Norm Chomsky.
It'll be a lot of fun.
As
And-
Will Romero.
Romero. That was really cool. Pretty interesting.
And
Yes.
just a reminder that we have Parapalooza coming up.
When is it? Holy crap balls.
That's like in 2 weeks.
It's right around the friggin' corner.
I'm going to be there
3 weeks. No, 2 weeks.
at the end. Can I wear my costume?
What's today?
Today's
The 7th.
the
The 7th.
7th, right?
Yeah, 3 weeks
So-
away.
You got the 11th and we got
3 weeks away. Only 3 weeks away.
Let's see if I can.
Co-hosted by Double Question Mark.
We're still looking for some hosts.
Who's the
So,
hosted? Who's hosting it?
We're hosting it Sunday.
And then who's co-hosting it? We don't know yet.
Well,
It could be you.
The co-host is going to be on Friday
Friday
and
and
Saturday.
Saturday.
So we're looking for that. I want to throw this in the comments. So if you know anybody that wants to be a part of Parapalooza, we would greatly appreciate it.
do it.
She says, look it up.
Nice.
It's in Evansville, Indiana. Look it up. They have
So-
cams that are run 24/7.
So I put a link to our sign up page. If you're interested in a spot for Parapalooza, we have some openings on Friday and
Oh, shit.
Saturday.
Halloween episode.
So Lunar, that could be something you'd like to join us on.
That was close, Aragon, but not. We may have done it on the Halloween episode, but it wasn't the first
Yeah,
episode.
we talked about it.
Yeah. An error occurred on Facebook, wasn't it?
But you get a koozie, because why the hell not? Come over and get it. Just kidding.
Facebook didn't like it.
yeah,
huh?
Facebook didn't like it for some reason. But I put a link up there if you guys can see it to the sign up page. So please go on there if you're interested in having a spot on our Parapalooza.
Oh boy.
Or if you're
Um,
interested in hosting either Friday or
Friday or
Saturday.
Saturday. I did reach out to Amy. She's going to work on some people who are interested in
Oh, that'd be
being on
awesome.
Parapalooza.
Sweet.
So try to fill up Friday for us. Then-
Excellent.
What the hell was that?
What?
That was a weird noise.
We should check Fardy.
That was me making noises with my mouth. I make mouth noises every once in a
Is that-
while.
is that what that was?
Freaking annoying. That wasn't one of them.
So I want to play a little ad for Paracon, the Las Cruces Paracon. So
Do
here
it.
it is for that. Yeah.
So scary.
So we'll see you guys there at the Las Cruces Paracon. And for those of you that are just joining us tonight for the first time, please go like, share, and subscribe our YouTube channel. We'd greatly appreciate it.
That would be like a really big thank
You're
you.
really big shoes.
Yeah.
You're really cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We would appreciate that.
Mhm.
So yeah. So until next time,
This has been The Truth About Beer and
paranormal talk.
with Galvan. I mean, with Ramiro
Ramiro.
Galvan. I was doing it
Solid
the way it would
shit, bro.
appear in the
Solid
phone
shit.
book.
In the phone book.
Yeah.
Last name first. Well, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. Next week's going to be interesting. So we'll let you know when that comes up.
Yeah.
I would be
Will you be in Indiana? Might as well go to the.
I'll be in well, for the show I'll be in Ohio.
Oh,
Indiana,
Yeah.
here I come.
I'll be in Columbus. So
okay.
So
Oh, my
we-
sister's in Columbus.
be doing it remotely.
Bitching.
So anyway, want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, and we'll see you guys next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, cheers, everybody.
Until then.
Good night.
Fuego.